Another Day in Paradise. In 1989, Phil Collins released a hit single called Another Day in Paradise. I just want to share some of the words in that particular song before we move on and talk about our reading this morning. It goes like this. She calls out to the man on the street, "Sir, can you help me? It's cold and I've got nowhere to sleep. Is there somewhere you can tell me?" He walks on and doesn't look back. He pretends he can't hear her. Starts to whistle as he crosses the street. Seems embarrassed to be there. Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you and me in paradise. She calls out to the man on the street. He can see she's been crying. She's got blisters on the soles of her feet. She can't walk, but she's trying. Oh Lord, is there nothing more anybody can do? Oh Lord, there must be something you can say. You can tell from the lines on her face, you can see that she's been there, probably moved on from every place, because she didn't fit in there. And of course, it goes round and round to the refrain. Phil Collins wrote and sang this and added it to his album, and of course it won him a number of Grammy Awards and was nominated for a whole lot of categories. But this was one of the comments that I read on the internet from Wikipedia that said, despite the awards it gained following its release, the song also generated controversy over its subject matter and has received a largely unfavorable reaction from both music critics and the public. There are a couple of features that I think make this song rather interesting. The first is the fact that it talks about a social issue of homelessness, which I understand at the time was a rising issue, especially in the major cities around the world. That's 1989. The fact that Phil Collins points out that the common reaction towards homeless people is just to ignore them, to pretend that they weren't there. Listen, he says, he pretends he can't hear her. He starts to whistle as he crosses the street. Seems embarrassed to be there. And then finally, perhaps it's that haunting bridge between the verses that says, "Oh Lord, is there nothing more anybody can do? Oh Lord, there must be something you can say." This morning we read from the Gospel of Luke, and it tells the story of the Beatitudes. Jesus stood before the great crowd. People had come from all over. This is one of the largest gatherings that we see of Jesus and the people. And these people bring all sorts of suffering, sickness, and burdens to Jesus. And they came because they needed healing, they needed hope, and they needed a word from God. And Jesus spoke to them words that must have seemed so bizarre and even shocking to most of them. I used to say that these words presented the upside down kingdom of God. All these blessed people who don't feel very blessed. But in actual fact, I read from one commentator who said that Jesus, God through Jesus, is simply turning the world the right way up. Turning the world the right way up. Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Blessed you are for those who weep, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you and they exclude you and revile you and defame you on account of the Son of Man. For the crowd gathered before Jesus, these words made little sense. They had been raised with the idea that blessings were for those whom God favored, for those who were successful, for those who lived comfortable lives, for folk who believed that you reaped what you sowed, and that blessing came to those who God loved more. To hear Jesus seemingly randomly bless people was such a contrary notion. And yet Jesus tells them that God sees them. God sees them. The poor, the hungry, the grieving, the rejected. Not only does God see them, but God blesses them. Now, this is not a new list of conditions. It is not a contract that states if you are poor, then God will bless you. Rather, Jesus is simply proclaiming what is already true. God is with the lowly, the overlooked, the forgotten. God's kingdom belongs to those who have nothing else but to rely on God alone. Jesus' words echo the words of Mary in the Magnificat, right at the beginning, before Jesus or John the Baptist was born. Blessed are all of you in need of comfort.